Rob's Child here with another chapter of security analysis. Nothing I say is an investment advice, and I am not intending to replace the contents of this book, but to supplement them and open a discussion. Today is chapter 13, and the first thing I'm going to note about this chapter is that it seems like everything's cyclical, including chapter length, right? Chapter 12 was a bit of a beast. Chapter 13, comparatively, is pretty light reading, but it covers important things. Again, a lot of the specifics of what we're covering is more useful for investors when this book was written, I think. But there's still lessons that I think can be learned from it. So anyways, the title of the chapter, Other Special Factors in Bond Analysis. So this is the final chapter regarding bonds. If you look ahead to chapter 14, we finally dive into stocks. Now, not common stocks. We're still in fixed investments, fixed value investments, only preferred stocks, but at least we are marching our way there. So the notes I want to go through in this chapter, there's not a lot. He goes into how the parent company or holdings company, a holding company or a parent company, how their preferred dividends can operate, and it can get a little complicated with the hierarchy of seniority of securities when you have different layers going on, and he covers that. I'm not going to get into that in this video too much. And then we're talking about interest coverage again, which has been talked about ad nauseum at this point, I think, in the book. He finally mentions the value of current assets to current liabilities, and he comes up with some what was very surprising to me as very conservative figures in that area. Specifically, towards the very end of the chapter, talking about working capital being equal to the total of bonds. And I'm assuming the total bonded debt. So those numbers don't typically exist in many companies today. But he mentions when there were problems in 1932, there were companies that had this metric, did well. So let's talk about what that means real quick. Working capital is how much extra money you have from earnings on top of your current liabilities. And so, most balance sheets that you see today, they try to keep that equal so that they can, just cover it and then use the rest of the money to invest in the company or pay out, I guess. And he says you want the total bonded debt. So what I believe that means is total liabilities plus should be equal to the difference between current liabilities and current assets. That's how many assets it has. I can't really make sense of that. He does mention at the very end of the chapter, maybe this isn't so necessary anymore. And then towards the end of the chapter, there's I'll quote, there are 3 requisites with respect to working capital. When you are buying bonds, that the cash holdings are ample, number 1, I quote. Number 2, quote, that the ratio to current assets to current liabilities is a strong one. I mean, that strong seems a little ridiculous, but maybe I'm misunderstanding this. Someone comment in the comments below what you think. And then 3, that the working capital bears a suitable proportion to the funded debt, which he says should be equal. Sort of. He says it and then he kind of takes that back. But Yeah, so not a ton to get out of this chapter. Just a few special case scenarios, and that's it. So that's chapter 13. I'll see you in chapter 14. Thank you for joining in. Comment in the section below. Rob's Child.